Now, the NHL has a ton of amazing superstars. Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard, Kyle Connor, and Connor Hellebuyck, just to name a few. There's a bit of a trend there. But what if we removed every superstar from the NHL? Well, that's what I went ahead and did. I removed the top 100 players from the NHL, and the league is looking completely different now. The Ottawa Senators are going to get the first overall pick, followed by the Dallas Stars, Toronto Maple Leafs, Colorado Avalanche, and then my St. Louis Blues. I need to rebuild St. Louis. I have to give this team a chance at having some success. So we're jumping into the fantasy draft, and as you can see immediately, there's a lot of changes. With the first overall pick, it's not Connor McDavid, instead Ivan Demidov, followed by Owen Power, Dylan Guenther, Brock Faber. That is definitely an interesting top four. But when it comes to the fifth overall pick for the St. Louis Blues, who am I considering at drafting here? Well, Nazem Kadri is one of the top players, Zuccarello is one of the top players, Aaron Ekblad, Protas. There's a lot of interesting players here. And then when it comes to goaltending, the top goaltender available, Dustin Wolf, an 87 overall at 24 years old. It kind of makes a lot of sense to go with Dustin Wolf when it comes to the fifth overall pick. We basically get the best goaltender in the league, one of the youngest goaltenders in the league. One thing we will never have to worry about in this video is goaltending if we go with Dustin Wolf. And you know what? How about we do that? We get our goaltender early on, 87 overall Dustin Wolf. Welcome to the team. Now we'll take a quick look at the rest of the first round here. But yeah, this is not the normal superstars we see getting drafted in the first round. We're used to Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Sidney Crosby, Austin Matthews. We're not seeing any of those guys today. Matty Beniers is going 21st overall. Lafreniere is going 23rd overall. Safe to say the NHL is a little bit different now. So we have our superstar goaltender. Dustin Wolf is going to be that guy for us. But when it comes to our next selection, who do we want to go with? Well, we want to go with somebody who is semi-young. We don't want to be bringing any 36, 37-year-olds to the team. So with that being said, Gabe Vilardi, I think you make the most sense, so you're going to be the guy we're going with. So we've drafted our superstar goaltender that's going to lead us to Stanley Cups. We've drafted our number one forward, who happens to be Gabe Vilardi, and then when it comes to our number one defenseman, the guy that's going to lead us to Stanley Cups in the future, Brandon Carlo, welcome to the team. So we've drafted a forward, a defenseman, and a goaltender. You get the idea in this video. We've removed every superstar. We're going to be seeing some very interesting teams. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and draft the rest of my team. You don't need to see every selection moving forward, because I don't think you're too interested in me drafting 38-year-old Matt Zuccarello in the fourth round. Except we're not doing that. I'm not drafting Zuccarello here. I'll try to find some elite young player. Also, while I try to find that next superstar, if your team didn't blow two different 2-goal leads last night, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. I can't trust St. Louis to do anything except disappoint me. So I went ahead and completed our fantasy draft, and we're certainly looking at an interesting team. Dustin Wolf with the 5th overall pick, Vilardi with the 60th, Brandon Carlo with the 69th, Kevin Ball, Siplikov, Tolvanen, Capo Caco. We are definitely lacking a lot of superstar talent, but then again, so is every other team in the league. So it's definitely going to be very interesting on who's competing for Stanley Cups. Now I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Just looking at this forward core, you are thinking this team is completely chopped. But you have to remember, an 87 overall player right now is the highest overall in the NHL. So Gabe Vilardi is actually one of the best players. Looking at our defense, yes, we're lacking a lot of superstars, but at least we don't have a bunch of 70 overalls. And then when it comes to goaltending, Dustin Wolf, of course, is the number one. Matt Murray is going to be our backup at an 80 overall. This team certainly has a lot of question marks surrounding them, but I think they're actually better than we're giving them credit for. With that being said, though, probably wouldn't hurt if we made a couple trades, but let's look at some of the other top teams in the league. Now, the Anaheim Ducks at face value are definitely looking like a way better team than us, but maybe they don't have great defense. Okay, this team is just really good. So the Anaheim Ducks are clearly going to be one of the top teams. Taking a look at the Boston Bruins, they're looking pretty solid as well. Maybe they're lacking when it comes to the defensive core, but not really. Even their defense is looking pretty strong. They have a great goaltender as well. Okay, now that I've looked at a couple teams so far, I'm starting to think my team is just incredibly bad, but I take that back. Look at this Buffalo Sabres team. Even when I reset the NHL, somehow you made all the wrong selections. Granted, you have a handful of really good young guys that are going to develop over the next couple of years, but yeah, comparing this team to the previous two we looked at, the Buffalo Sabres aren't looking like anything special. Now, when it comes to us building this team, making trades and amazing free agent signings are how we're going to get all of our elite players, but there's two players I'm looking at targeting right now, maybe three. But the first player is somebody that was probably selected in the first round. I actually can't remember if they were selected in the first round. I only can imagine they were. Now, who exactly is that player? Well, Protus is the guy I'm looking for. I know for a fact his potential in this game isn't nearly what it should be. I think he has medium top 9 potential, so that makes his trade value way lower than it should be. So with that being said, we're going to make a move for Protus if I can find him. He was literally on the first team. He was on the Anaheim Ducks. I completely overlooked him. I went through every team, forgetting to look at the Anaheim Ducks. But now that I'm looking at Protus' trade value, it's actually a lot higher than I was expecting, so maybe we won't be making a move for Protus. However, that's perfectly fine because I do have a backup plan. And what is that backup plan? Well, a second and third rounder for Pavel Dorofeia. But even his trade value is a little bit higher than I was expecting. So I think after we removed the top 100 players, it actually ended up increasing everybody's trade value. So when it comes to a guy like Pavel Dorofeia, his trade value is actually higher than it normally is. So with that being said, a second and third rounder might not be enough for him. But you know what? That's perfectly fine because we have a handful of younger guys on this team that we can throw into a deal, including Ben Kindle. So if I throw Ben Kindle into this deal, we might be able to walk away with Pavel Dorofeia, and I would love to do that. They're going to be rejecting that offer right there. I'll throw in a 7th round pick, and I think that could be the difference maker. So in reality, Pavel Dorofeia is the equivalent of like a 93 overall player. We're basically trading a second, a third, a good prospect, and a 7th round pick for a 93 overall player. So safe to say, I think that's a really good move for us. And now that I put it into perspective like that, Quentin Musty, you have all the potential in the world and you can turn into a superstar player. But what if I trade you right now for an 87 overall and we just get one of the best in the game? I think that makes a lot of sense. I actually changed my mind. Originally, I was thinking we were going to go after Wyatt Johnston, but how about I bring Zach Benson to the team? I think I trade for Wyatt Johnston a little bit too much in my videos, and Zach Benson, I haven't seen you enough in NHL 26, so Quentin Musty 1-for-1 for Zach Benson. They're rejecting that offer, but I'll throw in a 7th rounder and we'll get this deal done. The lucrative 7th round pick is going to make the difference. When it comes to trade value, it's basically identical, so the 7th round pick should make the difference, but I guess it's not. Do you need a 6th round pick as well? Here's a 6th rounder for 2026. Is that the difference maker? Okay, what do you mean we're not close in value? Like, we are very close in value. I guess we're going to have to do a bit of a 3-team trade. So what we're going to do here is Quentin Musty over to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tom Willander is going to be brought to the team after we throw in a 7th round pick. Why do we always have to throw in that lucrative 7th round pick? I'm not too sure. But you know what? It's not the end of the world. If it's helping us get this deal done, then it's going to be worth it. Okay, we have to add in more. The Tampa Bay Lightning are getting a little bit greedy right now. They're getting extremely greedy. I don't want to throw any more picks into this deal, so how about I just give you some random prospect? How about I give you Tomashik? Is Tomashik going to be enough to make the difference in this deal? It looks like he is. So after acquiring Tom Willander, we're going to flip him over to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Zach Benson, welcome to the team. Why aren't y'all accepting this? Tom Willander has the most trade value on our team, but apparently it's just not enough. Here is a 6th round pick as well. Y'all are getting greedy. I don't know what's with teams wanting all of the late round draft picks, but I'll trade them all away. I'll give up every 5th and 6th rounder in order to get Zach Benson. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves though, we do have to hand out some extensions, and I'm kind of curious on what players are going to be looking for. Like a guy like Tolvanen, in reality, can probably ask for a little bit more money considering he is one of the higher overall players in the league. Luckily, he's not asking for more money, so we're going to be giving him 4.8 for the next 5 years. I think that's going to turn out to be a steal for us. Jordan Eberle, Dave Perron, you guys are likely walking. Same with Jeff Petrie. When it comes to Zach Benson, though, I want to lock him down long term, but he's not interested in a long-term deal, so I guess we're just doing 2.2 for 1 season. And then I think when it comes to a lot of these other guys, we're just going to be looking at some cheaper contracts. Blankenberg, here's 2.1 for the next 3 years. Val Mackey, I'm assuming we're going to be doing basically the exact same thing. 2.1 for the next 2. And then with these guys further down the list, it's probably going to be 2-way contracts. Sean Farrell, you're not getting a 1-way contract from me. You're only a 74 overall. Carson Lambos, will you sign a 2-way contract? What are we doing here, boys? I need y'all to help me a little bit. So heading into season number 1, here's what the new look St. Louis Blues are looking like. We might be lacking some superstars right now, but the NHL is going to meet some new superstars. Some of these guys over the next 5 years are going to turn to superstars. Which players are those going to be? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like in reality, I want to see some ridiculous name become a superstar. Like Morgan Geekie, so far he's off to an incredible start this season. But nobody's calling Morgan Geekie a superstar. In this universe, you never know, he might become a superstar. So we've made it to the trade deadline, and the St. Louis Blues are looking like one of the best teams in the entire league. A 39-22-4 record. The Philadelphia Flyers are rolling though. A 44-21-4 record. Granted, they have played 4 more games than us, So I guess that skews things a little bit. We're averaging 3.32 goals per game, 2.54 allowed. That has to be the best in the entire league, and it looks like it is. This St. Louis team is rolling right now, and that's thanks to Pavel Dorfia. 57 points so far, 28 goals, 29 assists. Velarde 57 points, Zach Benson 57 points. I don't want to look at the league leading scores quite yet. I want to be surprised at the end of the season. Meanwhile, when it comes to our goaltender, Dustin Wolf, 30 wins, 2 shouts, a 914 to 263. But look at Matt Murray, a 939 to 186. I was not expecting numbers like this from Matt Murray. But with the team competing for a Stanley Cup, I think it only makes sense that we're buyers in year number 1. But who do we want to buy? I'm not too sure. Now, I have no clue why, but Blankenberg's trade value is ridiculously high right now. So I'm looking to get Cam York in a deal. I think Cam York would be a great player for us. He could probably play some top pairing minutes. Right now, we have 2 defensive defensemen on our top pairing, and I feel like we should bring in a little bit of offense. That's going to be Cam York. So they're going to be rejecting this deal, which is Blankenberg 1 for 1. Yes, for some reason, Blankenberg has that much trade value. But what if I throw in a 4th round pick into this deal? They're still saying no. I could probably give you Hoglander or something. I could give you one of our bottom 6 guys. How about I give you Sean Farrell? Sean Farrell was looking for a one-way contract. I don't really want to give that to him. They're going to be rejecting this. I guess we're giving up another pick. We have been trading all of our picks away. We don't have that many picks for the next 2 years. That's perfectly fine because we're winning a Stanley Cup in year number 1, and then we're going to 5-peat. Now, I'm sorry, but you cannot make this up. There is no way that this just happened. The St. Louis Blues, 7th in the entire league, a 47-31-4 record. That's amazing and all. I'm happy with that. Pavel Dorfia, you were pretty solid this season. 67 points. I can't complain about that, including 32 goals. Zach Benson, you were great. Velarde was great. When it comes to Cam York scoring, I'm kind of curious to see what he did since joined the team. 4 goals and 6 assists for 10 points in 17 games. That's not too bad whatsoever. But what am I all upset about? What am I hating right now? Who we take on in the first round? We reset the NHL. We removed every superstar. We have the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. You can't make this up. Like, there is just no way after we reset the NHL and removed every superstar, we somehow got the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. You just can't make that up. But we have won 2 games in a row. Make that 3 games in a row. It's a sweep over Winnipeg. You know what? I'm fine with taking on Winnipeg now. I did not expect for us to sweep this team. I thought it was going to be a competitive series, but I guess not. We absolutely dominated, and we're moved on to the second round. Now, the second round is not going to be any easier for us. We're taking on the Colorado Avalanche, and we're dropping game number 1. We're actually going to be shut out. Luckily, we are responding in game number 2, but games 3 and games 4, we're going to pretend those didn't happen. So we're down 3-1 in the series. We have a pretty big hill to climb here. We need 3 straight victories starting in game number 5. It's going to be a scoreless first period. Moving into the second, Shane Pinto's picking up back-to-back goals. Pavel Dorfia would respond, but can we make the comeback in the third period? Yes, we can. It's going to be 5 unanswered from the St. Louis Blues if you include that first Pavel Dorfia goal, and we're moving on to game 6. A game 5 victory means absolutely nothing if we don't win game number 6. Game 6 is also a must-win for the team. Let's see if we can pull it off. So we know what we have to do. Score goals and keep the puck out of the net. We're exchanging goals in the first period. Moving into the second, it's Shane Pinto once again picking up 2 goals. Can we make the big comeback once again? It doesn't look like it. We would pick up 2 late goals in the third period. I mean, it wasn't really late goals at the 17-minute mark and the 14-minute mark, but that's neither here nor there. Lafreniere's goal 1 minute into the third period is going to be the difference maker, and we're going to be falling in game 6. We might have been one of the better teams in the NHL. Clearly, we weren't good enough. So after falling to the Colorado Avalanche in Game 6, they would go on to win the Stanley Cup. And I do want to point out, 6 games was the deepest series they went to. Every series after our matchup, and even the one before, only went to 5 games. So we technically put up the biggest fight against the Stanley Cup champs. When it comes to our scoring, Zach Benson looked pretty good. 12 points in the postseason. He's up to an 87 overall. Pavel Dorfia, he's picking up 11 points. He's an 87 overall as well. Gabe Vilardi's an 87. We have a handful of guys that are now tied at the top of the league for the highest overall. So although this team wasn't able to win this season, I wouldn't be surprised if they're even better next season. Meanwhile, Dustin Wolf, he dropped 1 overall. And that's exactly what I want to see. I am so happy to see Dustin Wolf dropping 1 overall. nothing could make my day even better. Now, when it comes to some of the teams that weren't really great this season, the draft is actually going to be incredibly important for them, because when it comes to the Dallas Stars first round selection, you're bringing in Curry, an 81 overall franchise potential defenseman. Now, Isaiah Curry is already one of the better players in the NHL at an 81 overall, and I also believe because he has medium franchise potential, he's actually the most valuable player in the NHL. Like, he's going to have the most trade value out of all players. Never would have expected that. So if Dallas wanted to turn around and be competitive next season, they could trade Curry for like 9 guys that could help them win now. Like, even for the St. Louis Blues, if we can get a really good player here who is a gem, we could probably flip that guy and then turn him into something pretty valuable. Unfortunately though, he does have low elite potential. Yes, he was a gem, but low elite potential players are extremely undervalued in this game. Also, I find it very funny with our first draft pick, we're getting a low elite potential player. Absolutely everybody predicted that. And then of course, we can't just draft one low elite potential player. Like, why on earth would we do that? So we're going to draft a second one here in the 5th round. Now, when it comes to the re-sign phase, we have more than enough money to bring Pavel Dorofeyev back to the team, but I would have preferred if we signed him a long time ago, because he's looking for $10 million now. I know at the beginning of the season I was unable to sign him, and that's the reason we didn't sign him. However, I should double check with him after the trade deadline. We might have been able to save way more money, but we actually still might be saving quite a bit of money, because why would I give you a no trade if I can just give you a no movement? 8.1 for the next 8 seasons. Dorofeyev, I think you're going to be coming back to the team. Is that the case? Yes, it is. Pavel Dorofeyev, welcome back. And then when it comes to Petrie, Jordan Eberle, Adam Henrique, Jonathan Taves, Dodonov, all of you guys are going to be walking. Miro Manoff, I guess I can try to bring you back to the team, but how much do you want? $3.2 million. That's not happening. David Perron, you're going to be walking. Kravitsov, Lambos, what are you guys willing to accept? Kravitsov is looking for $1 million on a 2-way contract. I can definitely do that. And then Carson Lambos, it better be the exact same with you, and it looks like it is. So all of these older vets are going to be leaving the team, and then when it comes to these 2 goaltenders, we're probably going to be replacing them as well. Now, before we start throwing out absolute bags in free agency, we better make sure we're bringing back guys like Brandon Carlo. He's one of the most important defensemen to our team, so we want to keep him around. Also, it's the exact same situation with him. I'm not giving you a no trade clause. If I can just give you a no movement, it's the same difference. Siplikov, you're another guy we can bring back to the team on a reasonable deal, but I don't know if $6.5 million is that reasonable of a deal. Like, I just feel like that's a little bit too much considering you're only an 84 overall. Granted, an 84 overall is still really good. We're going to hold off of that Siplikov contract for a couple minutes. Braden Pahal, how much are you looking for? We can do 2.3 for the next 2 years. And then I think those are really the only extensions we have to worry about. Let's go see what's available in free agency. Like, I'm assuming free agency probably won't be that good, because we have to remember a majority of the NHL is going to have a lot of cap space, so everyone's going to be able to re-sign everybody. But it looks like we are going to see a couple players make it to free agency, and they are wanting absolute bags. A guy like Patrick Laine is looking for $8.4 million. You know what? We can do this. So we're going to bring Patrick Laine to the team for $8.4 million. Yes, it's quite a bit of money, but I think he's going to play a very important role on our team. And then when it comes to all the other additions I want to bring in, I just want to bring in some cheaper players. Like, I'm talking like 82, 83 overall players that aren't looking for too much. Adam Henrique, you run the team last season, but I kind of want to go a different direction. Ben Sherratt, you're not really the guy I'm thinking about. If I'm being completely honest here, I think almost all of our moves are going to have to be trades. Paling, I can bring you in to play some 4th line minutes. Here's $2.9 million. I do believe I saw Michael Bunting available, and I don't think he was looking for a ridiculous price, so maybe we can bring Bunting in. He wants 2.6 on a 1-year deal. I can definitely do that. I'll actually give you 2.7 just because I'm a nice guy. And then when it comes to goaltending, I would like to upgrade our backup this season. So Vitek Vanacek, you're going to be that guy. $1.8 million for the next 2 seasons. And then we got to sign an AHL goaltender. But after we do that, we're making trades. So I think we could use another playmaker on the team. And Zuccarello, you're not a bad option. Yes, you're not in your prime anymore. However, you're one of the best playmakers in the league at an 87 overall. So I'm not really too concerned about your age right now. If you only play 1 season with the team, that's perfectly fine, because the 1 season you play with us is going to help us win a Stanley Cup. I'll throw a 7th round pick into this deal, and then that's going to be enough. Matt Zuccarello, welcome to the team. Now, it probably wouldn't hurt if we brought in one more defenseman here, except I haven't decided on who that defenseman is going to be. Nikishin is one guy I'm interested in because he does have really good potential and he might turn into a star player, but do I want to commit $6.4 million to him? Yes, I do. I'm going to commit 6.4, but actually I'm not. We're going to save a little bit of money here. We'll do 6.1 for the next 3 years. He's not going to be accepting immediately, so he might be signing with somebody else. I guess we'll just see what happens. So it looks like Nikishin's going to be joined the team. Brandon Carlo's accepting his extension. Pahal's accepting his extension. We better not get ahead of ourselves because we do need to re-sign Zach Benson at some point. So when it comes to free agents moving forward, I think we're just signing guys to 1-year deals. So with us only having about $10 million to work with in cap space, we're only going to be signing one more player, and that player is going to be Alex Killorn, $6.1 million for 1 season. I highly doubt anyone's going to outbid me, but you never know. Also, I think I have decided we are going to keep Siplikov on this team. We'll do 6.3 for the next 5, and then when Zuccarello is gone next season, he can probably move up in the lineup. Now, if you were to ask me, I think we have one of the deepest teams in the league right now. Like, we have to understand 87 overalls are some of the best in the game. So we have 4 87s when it comes to our forward core. Safe to say we're in a really good spot. Then we have an 87 overall on our top defensive pairing being Brandon Carlo, and then when it comes to goaltending, we have another 87 overall. 87 overalls are the highest overalls in the league right now, and we currently have 6 of them. So yeah, safe to say this team's not bad by any means. Now I'm going to keep it a stack. I was fully expecting the St. Louis Blues to be a lot better this season. 7th in the entire league, a 36-24-5 record. The big difference this season, our defense isn't nearly as good. Last season we were allowing 2.5 goals per game. Now we're up to 2.8. We're allowing half a goal more per game. That's definitely not a recipe for success. Like, look at the New York Rangers, 2.36. That's what we're striving for here. With that being said, I can't really complain about the offensive production. Zach Benson 57 points, Gabe Vilardi 54, Morgan Geekie 53, Pavel Dorfia 53. We have great scoring here from top to bottom. We're just really lacking elite defense right now, but we can change that. Then again, with that being said, Vanacek is sucking quite a bit. When you look at Dustin Wolf's numbers, they look really good. 33 wins, 2 shots, a 917 to 254. Those are numbers we can win with. Vanacek, I think you're just hurting the team too much. So now that I know Vanacek's holding us back, I'm not nearly as concerned about this team, but I still think it wouldn't hurt if we made a deal or two. Alright, so this is what I think we're going to do. Tolvanen, I'm going to send you over to the Columbus Blue Jackets. You've dropped down to a bottom 6 role, and I'm paying you way too much money to be playing on the bottom 6. Brendan Dillon and Alex Newhook are both going to be acquired. Brendan Dillon's going to play some good defensive minutes for us. Alex Newhook's just going to be the Tolvanen replacement. But do I really need a replacement for him? Maybe not. Maybe we can just go 1-for-1 in this deal. You've given us a fair offer, but if we accepted this deal, we would have to put Trenton on waivers. Okay, just give me whoever you don't value that's on your NHL roster right now. Like, there is definitely somebody on your NHL roster that you do not even want on your NHL roster. Give me Pontus Holmberg. If you give me Pontus Holmberg, you don't have to put Trenton on waivers. It works out for everybody. I don't even know why it's actually that big of a deal. If you're willing to trade Pontus Holmberg away, that means you're probably willing to put him on waivers. Sometimes the other GMs in this game are just very questionable. So the New York Rangers are going to finish as the best team in the entire league, but the St. Louis Blues, they were 7th in the entire league, but they were a ways away from the Rangers. Like, they were 18 points back, a 45-29-8 record, 3.24 goals per game. I was expecting the offense to be way better, and then when it comes to the defense, 2.83. Yeah, we definitely have to work on that moving forward. Gabe Vilardi 73 points, Zach Benson 72 points, Pavel Dorfia 68. I still have to give Zach Benson a contract extension, so we should make sure we do that. And then when it comes to goaltending, Dustin Wolf 42 wins, 3 shots, a 917 to 254. Okay, plain and simple, Vanacek held us back. He had a 3-8-2 record. This man won 3 games this season. Yeah, he's the reason we weren't first in the entire league. Also, I'm actually remembering to take a look at the league leaders. Who has become a superstar in the NHL? Zach Hyman, 83 points this season. Jonathan Marchessault, 82 points. Kyle Palmieri, 81 points. Dylan Gunther, 81. Steven Stamkos, 80. Trevor Zegras, 80. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting scores to say the least. You're noticing a lot of the older veterans here. Guys who definitely aren't in their prime anymore, absolutely dominating. Backlund's picking up 78 points. No, what's going on here? Like, even a guy like Brendan Gallagher, 35 goals this season. No, this was certainly an interesting season. Who led the league in goals? I actually never double checked that. It looks like it's going to be Tyler Seguin, even though it's showing Mason McTavish. Yeah, just completely ignore that. It is Tyler Seguin. Tyler Seguin is the leader when it comes to goals. Why is it still showing me Mason McTavish? Okay, we're just going to ignore that. Tyler Seguin on the LA Kings is going to be leading the league in goals. We have entered a very weird era. Florida. Lucas Dostal, he's going to lead all goaltenders to wins, followed by Dustin Wolf. Yeah, plain and simple, Dustin Wolf just didn't have enough support. Vanacek was not a good enough backup. He let us down time and time again, so don't be surprised if next season we're trading for a backup goaltender. We're going to be making the postseason once again, but it's going to be a rivalry matchup. St. Louis taking on Chicago. We better not fold. So this is going to be an important matchup for two teams. One of these teams is going to be advancing to the second round, and what if I told you it's going to be the St. Louis Blues, because they're not going to lose to the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round. We've won 2 straight games. Unfortunately, it's not going to be 3 straight games, but we do have a 3-1 series lead. Let's close it out in game number 5 and move on to the second round. That's a great way to start off the postseason. Don't blow a 3-1 series lead. Whatever you do, don't blow a 3-1 series lead, and we don't have to worry about it. A 6-1 victory is allowing us to advance, and now we have the Utah Mammoth up next. Now, we haven't seen Utah yet in this video, and it's a very different Utah team than the current team in 2025, but regardless of that, they're still putting up a fight. We've split the series so far, so it's a best of 3 moving forward. Game number 5 is the most important one, and we're allowing 5. Definitely not what I wanted us to do. So let's dive into game number 6 against the Utah Mammoth. It's a must win for the St. Louis Blues. We can't be giving up too many goals. Justin Holl is scoring. Yeah, so we're losing this one. We are going to lose this one. I don't care if we're winning game number 6. We are losing this series. We just allowed a goal to Justin Holl, of all players. You don't come back from that. I don't care if we won that game 4-1. We're losing game 7. Like, Justin Holl really scored a goal in the big 2027, because we are in 2027 right now, and Justin Holl is scoring. Okay, maybe we actually are going to win this series, because we just beat them 8-2. I haven't given Zach Benson an extension. You know what? I keep forgetting to give him the extension, but we're winning games right now. I don't want to stop to give him an extension. Let's just keep winning. Zach Benson, I'll give you an extra $1 million if we win the Stanley Cup. I will give you $1 million more per season. That should be a bit more motivation for you. We're winning the first 2 games. Make that the first 3 games. We are 1 game away from making it to the Stanley Cup final. Can we make it there, or are we going to blow a 3-0 series lead? Well, I don't plan on us blowing a 3-0 series lead, but I guess this team has other plans. We were up 3-0. Dominated the first 3 games, and now we're in game 7. Luckily, Velarde's picking up the first goal of the game. Moving into the second, it's a scoreless one. I'm absolutely terrified to simulate the third period, but you know what? We don't have to worry about it. We're going to be picking up 4 in this one. We shut them out, and now we're moving on to the Stanley Cup final. I had my fair share of questions about this St. Louis Blues team, but we've made it to the Stanley Cup final. We're taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Only one team stands in front of us. So let's go ahead and lock in for 4 victories. I need 4 W's, and then we'll be Stanley Cup champions. We scored 7 in game 1, but we allowed 6 in game 2. We've split the series. We shut them out, then they shut us out. So game 5 is the most important game. If we win this one, I think we're going to win the Stanley Cup, but we're dropping it 5-4. Do not choke like this. Do not choke in the Stanley Cup final. We have made a 3-2 comeback before. Now we have to do it again. Each team is going to be picking up 2 goals in the first period. Moving into the second, we're exchanging goals. I am terrified. The third period is going to decide whether or not we're making it to game 7, and we are, because of offensive defenseman Brandon Carlo. 40 seconds left in the game. He's picking up the biggest goal, and now we have game 7. You know what? I never should have questioned this team. I should have never questioned us, because we have offensive defenseman Brandon Carlo. In the big games when the lights are the brightest, he's always going to show up for us. We're picking up the first 2 goals. Moving into the second, they might be responding with 2 goals, but then we're going to respond with 2 goals. We still have our 2-goal lead entering the third period. We lost. What? Excuse you? We lost 5-4. We had a 2-goal lead, and we lost 5-4. That didn't just happen. Zach Benson, I want to know that just cost you millions. That loss right there costed you millions of dollars. We choked. We had a 2-goal lead entering the third, and we allowed 3 unanswered goals. The offense was amazing. Goaltending was pretty solid as well. Dustin Wolf had 3 shutouts. We lost because we allowed 3 unanswered in the third period. No, I'm sick. Zach Benson, here's your contract extension. You want $10.3 million. How about I give you 6 seasons and then we give you a no movement so we can save some money? No, I'm heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken right now. We were 20 minutes away, 1 period away from being Stanley Cup champions, but instead, we're the runners-up. Zach Benson, there's your contract. Alex Killorn, you're not coming back to the team. Zuccarello, you were actually one of our better players, but you're not interested in a contract extension. Brad Lambert, I brought you in after the trade deadline. I guess I can keep you around. You want 2.6 million. I'm not gonna lie, that's a little OD considering you only played like 20 games for me. But here's 2.5 million. We really lost. We lost in game 7. We made it all the way to game 7, and then we lost the most important game. No, you just don't recover from that. Now, there isn't really any great prospects around the 31st overall range, so I'm looking to trade this pick alongside Siplikov. He's dropped to an 84 overall, and considering his $6 million contract's about to kick in, I don't really want that. So how about we bring in the Hart winner? Yes, you heard me right. Zach Hyman, the Hart winner, because this man just won the Hart. He also won the Ted Lindsay and the Art Ross. This statement has never been said before and will probably never be said again, but we want to bring in MVP Zach Hyman. Yeah, we're going to pick him up here. I'll take the 4th round road of the deal and we'll be able to get this one done. I guess we have to take the 3rd round road as well. I'm perfectly fine with that. We're a little bit off when it comes to trade value. I guess I can give you a 6th round pick. So here's a 6th rounder for 2028. Zach Hyman, welcome to the team. We're looking to win a Stanley Cup next season. We're not messing around anymore. Also, I know for a fact this guy's not going to have medium franchise potential, but he might have medium elite potential. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. We're going to be getting low elite instead, but I should have expected that. Now, I think we really need to sit down and figure out who exactly are we going to be keeping around when it comes to the future of this team. Matt Zuccarello, I think we actually should be able to keep you around. You're an 86 overall, meaning you're still one of the highest rated players in the game. We can probably get you for like 7.5 million with a no movement. And honestly, I think that would be an absolute steal for you. And you know what? We actually might be able to do less than that. Can we do $7 million for the next 2 seasons? I feel like 7 million is pushing it a little bit too much. So how about we do 7.2 for the next 2? Zuccarello, I think you're going to be willing to accept that even though you're not interested in a contract extension. He's going to be sticking around. Brendan Dillon, I'd love to keep you around on a 1-year deal. And you know what? That's exactly what you're looking for. So I'll give you a no movement for that 1 season. We'll do 4.4 million. So you're going to be sticking around. And then when it comes to Bunting, Killorn, Paling, I think all these guys are going to be walking. Unless we can sign some of these guys to 2-way contracts. Now, even though Zach Hyman is 35 years old, he's still producing at an incredible rate, so I wouldn't mind keeping around for multiple years. How about we do 9.8 for the next 2, and then that's going to keep him around for the rest of the rebuild. Actually, we could probably do more than that. I'm going to give him a full no movement, and we're going to look for around 8.8 million. Actually, let's just keep this simple. $9 million for the next 2 seasons for Zach Hyman. He gets a full no movement. Does this contract make a lot of sense considering he's going to start regressing? Absolutely not. But as we've learned in the past, overall, it's really don't mean that much. When it comes to Capo Caco, though, we're probably going to move him. Now, because we brought in Zach Hyman, he's going to be one of our top goal scorers. I don't think we actually need Patrick Laine anymore, and I don't like the fact that he's dropped to an 84 overall and we're paying him 8.4 million. So him and Cam York are both going to be sent over to the Calgary Flames. Bo Byram's going to be brought in. If Cam York and Laine aren't enough, how about I replace Laine with Capo Caco? Capo Caco's got some more trade value. I think this will be enough to get this deal done, but they're going to be rejecting it. Maybe Laine and a couple picks will be the answer. So we'll do Laine and a 2nd round pick. Is that going to be enough for Bo Byram? They're saying no. What about Laine and a 1st rounder? Of course, we're looking to win Stanley Cup, so this 1st round pick doesn't really mean too much for us, and it looks like it's going to make the difference in this deal. Now, I think we're going to make one more trade before we make a couple free agent signings. Capo Caco, since I'm not going to be able to keep you on the team, I'm going to trade you over to Utah. Jack Drury's going to be brought in. He's an 84 overall that can play some good 4th line minutes for us. More than likely, he's actually going to be playing 3rd line minutes, but you never know. I guess it depends on how the lineup develops. I'll take out the 4th round pick. They're still saying no. They want a 7th rounder, and I can do that. So I've added a 7th rounder from 2029. That's going to be enough to get this one done. Now let's go sign a couple free agents. So we're just looking for some cheap options for our bottom 6. The team's already looking amazing, so we don't have to do too much. Luostarinen, you're definitely not a cheap option for the bottom 6, but you can definitely play a role on this team. So here's $5.8 million for 1 season. Now outside of Luostarinen, we're looking for cheap players, and one of those guys is going to be Morin Barron. We're going to lock him down for multiple years. We'll do 1.9 for the next 3 years. We can definitely keep him around at that price. And then Beauvillier, you're going to accept an even better contract than that. We'll do 1.85 for the next 3. That's another incredible deal. So I think we made some good moves over the offseason. We now have multiple 88 overall players and above on the team. Like, we have some of the highest overalls on this team. When it comes to our defense, we even have an 88 overall there in Brandon Carlo, the best defenseman in the game right now. Who would have thought? And then 89 overall Dustin Wolf. Yeah, who's going to stop this team realistically? Also, Vanacek, don't suck this season. I'm giving you one more chance. Don't let me down. Also, before we fully dive into your number 3, let's just take a look at some of the highest rated players in the game right now. So if we sort by overall, currently the highest overall player is William Eklund at 91 overall. Then we're going to find Thomas Chabot, Leo Carlson, Davidoff, Neil Pionk, Brandon Montour, Cutter Gauthier, and a handful of others sitting at 90 overall. Brady Shea, Brock Faber, Owen Power, Brant Clark, they're all sitting at 89s. And then of course we have a handful of 88s, and we know that a handful of those guys are on our team. When it comes to goaltenders though, one man stands alone is the best guy here. That's actually a lie. Monty is also an 89 overall. I wasn't really expecting him to be an 89 overall, but I guess he is. Joseph Wall is an 88 overall. Devin Levi is an 87. Jacob Markstrom an 87. It's good to see some different players turning into superstars in this league. Like, not very often are we talking about guys like Marco Rossi and Kevin Fiala being some of the top players in the game, but that's the situation in today's video. Jake Wallman's one of the best defensemen. Hronik's one of the best defensemen. Like, even Elias Pettersson is one of the best players available in this reset. So yeah, we just gotta show a lot of love to these guys. Show it to Sharon Govich. He's looking not too bad as an 87 overall. Now, so far, this has definitely been an interesting video. I thought by now we'd be dominating the NHL a little bit more, but we're 11th in the entire league with a 37-25-4 record. Maybe this team isn't quite as good as I thought. 3.21 goals per game, that's not too bad. 2.44 allowed is absolutely amazing though, and it's the best in the entire league. When it comes to our offense, where does that rank in the entire league? 4th. Okay, wait, what? We have the 4th best offense in the entire league, and we have the best defense in the entire league. We are in 11th. Alright, apparently we're just scoring all of our goals in our wins, and then when it comes to our losses, I guess we're not scoring at all, because based on those two metrics right there, I feel like we should be 1st in the entire league. Maybe I'm tripping, but 11th in the entire league for this team right now doesn't make any sense. Zach Hyman, the reason we acquired you is I wanted you to score goals, and right now you have 25 goals, so you're definitely doing what we expected you to do. And then when it comes to our goaltending, Dustin Wolf, 30 wins, 2 shots, a 921 to 240, and then look at Vanacek, a 929 to 235. How on earth do you have a 7-7-1 record with a 929 and a 235? Okay, we need goal scorers here. Apparently, we just don't have a superstar goal scorer. I don't know what it is, but apparently we got to pick somebody else up here. Now, if I want goal scoring, there's only one man for us really to pick up in this situation. Lekkerimäki, welcome to the team. We all knew I was going to be bringing you in. A 2nd rounder in Loose Terrain is not going to be quite enough. Apparently, we lowballed them by quite a bit. The GM said he was offended by our offer. I don't really know what you're talking about. Here's a 4th round pick. Yeah, you went from being offended to accepting with a 4th rounder. That makes a lot of sense. Also, I am a little bit concerned with Lekkerimäki considering he only has 20 goals right now, but look how many shots he's taken. He'll find a way to score with us. Now, after the trade deadline, it seems like the St. Louis Blues were winning some more games, but I just want to look at our goals for and goals against. So when it comes to our goals for, we were 3rd in the entire league. When it comes to our goals against, we were the best team in the entire league. That resulted in us finishing 8th in the entire league. I'm not really going to question it. I don't really think it makes any sense, but that's neither here nor there. Lekkerimäki, since I brought you to the team, 8 goals and 8 assists for 16 points. You're shooting 12.5%. That's a 4.5% increase. That's exactly what I was looking for. We took you out of Buffalo and was surprised. You started dominating after that. When it comes to goaltending, we know what Dustin Wolf does. 39 wins, 2 shots, a 918 to 243, but the postseason's coming up. Last season, it was a disaster. We collapsed when it mattered most. We allowed 3 unanswered goals to lose in Game 7. I refuse to let that happen again. St. Louis is getting back. Now, I don't care what our record is heading into the postseason. We are one of the best offensive teams. We are one of the best defensive teams, and that's all that matters. We're winning Game 1, but dropping Game number 2. We're going to respond in Game 3. Can we continue to win in Game 4? No, we can't. So it's a best of 3 moving forward. Don't drop Game number 5. Whatever you do, don't drop Game 5, and we don't have to worry about it. All we have to do is win one more game, and we're moving on to the 2nd round. Is that going to be the case? Yes, it is. So we're moving on to the 2nd round after taking down Utah. Now we're going to have the Dallas Stars up next. It's a high scoring game number 1, but we're going to take it away. But then we're dropping 3 straight after that, so game number 1 means nothing now. Like, we scored 7 goals in that game. I don't think we've scored 7 goals in the past 3. There's a chance we scored 7 goals in the past 3, but I'll double check once this game's up. But we have to win this game first. And right now, things are not looking good for us. Can we make the comeback in the 3rd? No, we cannot. Zach Hyman would pick up a goal, but who cares? Also, it turns out we did score 7 goals. We scored 7 goals exactly. 2 goals here, 2 goals here, 3 goals. Like, we scored 7 goals in Game 1, and then 9 goals in Games 2 through 5. That is not how you win hockey games. You cannot score 2 less goals in Game 1 than you score in the next 4 combined. That's not a recipe for success. Nah, we've gotten to the point where the Toronto Maple Leafs without William Nylander, Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes, and Johnny T are winning the Stanley Cup. What kind of universe are we in? Then again, it makes more sense for them to win without those guys than to win with them. So yeah, take that as you will. When it comes to our scoring during the postseason, it was atrocious. And why was it atrocious? Because nobody showed up in the second round. Not a single person on this team showed up in the second round. I can't even say Dustin Wolf put on a masterclass because he didn't. This team was just terrible. Everyone from top to bottom, from our first line to our fourth line, from our first pairing to our third pairing, from our starter to our backup, not a single player showed up when it mattered. We have 2 more years left in this rebuild. That means we're going to have 2 more chances to win a Stanley Cup. Truthfully, I think we have to win a Stanley Cup with the core that we have right now. We have a lot of elite players on this team. I just need them all to figure it out one time. Also, we basically have no draft picks, so this low top 6 potential player, that's going to be the best thing we get because that's the only thing we're getting. Now, when it comes to the re-sign phase, I don't think we're doing too much here. Val Mackey, I just can't afford you. Hoglander, you're going to be wanting too much to play on the bottom 6. Same with Brendan Dillon. He wants too much to play third pairing minutes for us. But we don't need him for the third pairing anymore. Because Koltsov, a man that we drafted 24th overall, is ready to jump into the lineup. He is ready to play some gritty third pairing minutes for me. I didn't expect any of the guys we drafted in today's video to actually be playing for me, but here we are. Also, Brad Lambert, how much do you want? 1.2 million. How about we do 2 years? I'll do 2.2 million, and then you can stick around for the rest of this video. So there you go, Brad Lambert, 2.2 million. You're sticking around. Now, I am very invested with this team, so I want to try to win with the team that we have right now. Nikishin's looking for 9.9 million. That's really not bad considering you're one of the top defensemen in the league. I'm not going to lie, it's really throwing me off when I see like an 87 overall player, and I'm saying they're one of the top defensemen in the league. Obviously, a normal 87 overall wouldn't be one of the top defensemen in the league, but in this new universe, an 87 overall technically is one of the top defensemen in the league. Iginla, I want to keep you around as well. You want 4.3 million. Let's try to save a little bit. I'll do 4.1 for the next 3 years, so that'll be enough to keep you around. Jack Jury, Pahal, we're probably going to be letting you guys walk. Jordan Dumais, I think it's time for you to join the team. 1.9 million. That seems like a little bit much, but I already offered it to you. Carson Lambos, you can't be looking for too much money. 800k, that's an absolute steal. Kravitsov, maybe you're going to play some fourth line minutes for me next season. You never know. 800k for the next 2. And basically with that deal handed out right there, we've basically handed out all the extensions we have to. And then when it comes to free agency, there's not really that much for us to do. All we have to do is pick up a backup goaltender. So Bloomquist, here's 1.7 million. We're ready to roll. But I shouldn't say that because we do have $12 million. So who can we give a 1-year deal to? Adam Lowry, I'll give you $4 million. Never mind, you want to be a top 6 forward? That's not going to happen. Paul Cotter, I will give you $4 million. So here's 4.1 for 1 season. Paul Cotter is going to be accepting. And then who else wants to join the team? Jordan Eberle, you were one of the first players on this St. Louis team once we did the reset and removed the top 100. So now you're going to rejoin the team. Where are you going to play in the lineup? I have no clue. You're probably going to be a healthy scratch if I'm being completely honest. All right, so we have 2 years left to win a Stanley Cup. I think we have a good team on paper. Maybe we don't. Last season, we did have a top 3 offense and the best defense in the entire league, and somehow that wasn't good enough. Like, imagine going up to a team and telling them, you're going to have a top 3 offense this season, and you're going to have the best defense in the entire league. That team is going to assume that they are top 3 in the entire league at the very minimum. And then you say, no, you absolute fools. You're 8th in the entire league and 11th at the trade deadline. Like, absolutely nobody would understand that. Like, the metrics make absolutely no sense. You have a top 3 offense with the best defense in the league. You're actually not even in the top 10. Nah, like sometimes this game makes me really question what's going on. Now, I am absolutely stunned to see the St. Louis Blues 3rd in the entire league. And why is that? Well, at the 30 game mark, we were the worst team in our division. Then we figured out how to play hockey. A 38-19-5 record, 3.19 goals per game, 2.74 allowed. Yeah, it's actually crazy how much this team improved after the 30 game mark. Like, I was checking in on this team, contemplating making some trades. Our entire first line had negative plus minuses. Basically 90% of this team had negative plus minuses, and then they learned how to play hockey, and they have been locked in ever since. Dustin Wolf, he had a 903 and then a goals against above 3. Now he has 33 wins, 2 shouts, a 915, a 263. Over these last 30 games, this team has been phenomenal. In the first 30 games, we won't talk about it. Now, when it comes to us making a trade, if we bring anyone in, I want to be bringing somebody in on a 2-year deal, and it has to be a reasonable 2-year deal that we can actually afford. And based on some of these contracts, I'm not sure if we can afford these guys. Like, Nick Schmaltz is getting paid $14 million a year. I certainly don't want to pay you $14 million, but go get your bag. I'm not against that. So who is available that we can realistically trade for that actually makes sense? I think I saw Sean Monahan. Yes, he's 34 years old right now, but I think he could play some good bottom six minutes for me. Granted, 5.5 million is a little bit much, and I don't think we actually have that much cap space. So maybe we don't do anything here. Like, maybe we just stick with the team we have. Eric Robinson, though, okay, maybe we'll do that. Oh, never mind. He's clause protected. We actually can't do that move. So with that being said, we're not going to make any trades here. So to finish out the season, the St. Louis Blues are looking strong. Third in the entire league, a 49-26-7 record. But just look at all these elite teams. The difference between first and eighth in the entire league was only 10 points. We are in a very close league right now. It doesn't matter who we take on the postseason. I don't think anyone's really the favorite. Every matchup is going to be a difficult one. These are what the offensive numbers are looking like. We had 1 point a game score, and that's going to be Zach Benson. And then when it comes to goaltending, Dustin Wolf, 43 wins, 2 shots, a 914 to 267. The postseason is going to be tough regardless of who we take on. It's a tank matchup in round number 1, though. The Calgary Flames and St. Louis Blues. Granted, in this universe, St. Louis is one of the top teams while Calgary is a wildcard team. But in my eyes, this is still a tank bowl. So let the tank bowl commence between the Calgary Flames and the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues are going to find a way to win game 1, but they're dropping game number 2. We're going to respond in game 3, and we're going to respond in game 4 as well. Let's close out in 5 games. I don't want to give Calgary any more games. They might get a little bit of momentum, and it looks like we don't have to worry about that. We're moving on. So we're moving on to the second round, and in the second round, we're going to be seeing the Minnesota Wild. Now, we can't sleep on Minnesota because they're an incredible team. They were right with us when it came to the standings, but we're winning the first 3 games. Can it be the first 4? Okay, St. Louis is looking pretty hot right now. We are 8-1 so far in the postseason. We've only lost 1 game. Hence why we're 8-1, but that's neither here nor there. We need to win 8 more games. How about we sweep the Seattle Kraken and then sweep whoever we see in the Stanley Cup final? Okay, maybe a sweep was a little bit too much. We're dropping game number 1, but we won 3 straight after that. Can we make it 4 straight? Don't do this to me. Don't blow a 3-1 series lead. All right, we're in game 7. Every time we have a 3-1 series lead and I see us drop game number 5, I lose all hope in the team. Regardless of who I'm rebuilding, when you have a 3-1 series lead and drop game number 5, it all comes crashing down after that. But maybe not this time. We have a 6-0 lead. I refuse to believe we're collapsing this time, and it doesn't look like we are. Zach Hyman's picking up another goal, and we're off to the Stanley Cup final. We might have almost blown a 3-1 series lead, but we don't have to worry about it anymore. We're moving on to the Stanley Cup final for the second time in this video. You will not collapse in game 7. I refuse to let this team collapse in game 7. I'm not going to watch this team collapse in game 7. We are going to win before we get to game 7. Can we sweep the Islanders? It doesn't look like it. This game is the most important. If we lose this game, I think we're probably going to lose the series. Oh no. Things are not going our way. Game 6 is a must-win for us. We lost. We're going to blow a 3-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup final and lose in Game 7 once again. I am heartbroken. And I haven't even simulated the game yet. Vince Dunn's picking up the first goal. We're trailing by 1 goal entering the third period. Who is going to step up when it matters? Who's going to help us pick up a goal in the third period? Well, Gabe Vilardi's going to pick up a goal for us, but Corey Perry with 1 minute and 34 seconds is going to score the winner. We lost to 80-year-old Corey Perry in Game 7. We lost in another Game 7, but this one's significantly worse than the last because we didn't allow 3 unanswered in this one. Nope, we just blew a 3-0 series lead. I hate this team. And you know what the wildest part about this is? If we used any team other than the St. Louis Blues, we probably would have won a Stanley Cup. We would have won a Stanley Cup if I was controlling any team not named the St. Louis Blues. Dustin Wolf, 15 wins, 2 shots, a 920, and a 234. You didn't win the Stanley Cup. Last time you made it to the Cup final, what'd you do? Last time he had 15 wins, 3 shots, a 908, and a 276. I can maybe understand how these numbers weren't good enough for a Stanley Cup, but a 921 and a 234? No, we let this man down, plain and simple. So we have 1 more year with the St. Louis Blues. 1 more year to win a Stanley Cup. Can we do it, or are we just going to lose in Game 7 once again? Now, basically in any other circumstance, I would be gassed about a goaltender starting off as a 60 overall, especially since we drafted them in the 5th round with the 159th overall pick. However, we have now lost 2 Stanley Cups in Game 7. There is nothing to smile about. nothing to be happy about. So we have $17 million, and if you want my honest opinion, we need another superstar here. So I think we're going to try to save basically all this money for free agency, and we're going to go after one star player. If we're unable to get a star player, then we'll find some replacements in free agency, but we clearly need another superstar. Like, we just lost in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final once again. We can't allow this to happen anymore. Then again, when we lost in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final a couple years ago, I'm pretty sure I gave this exact same speech. It just never seems to work out for us. So when it comes to our $17 million, here's a handful of the guys I'm looking at, but I'm going to keep it a stack with you. Svechnikov, even though you're the best player available, we are not going for you, because Svechnikov has let me down time and time again. Paling is looking for $10.2 million. Nah, what kind of a universe are we in? If we're going to pick up any player here, I think it's going to be Joel Eriksson Ek, but I want to go into a bit of a negotiation with him. If we can save a little money, I would love that. So here's the contract we're going to offer Joel Eriksson Ek, $9.3 million for the next 3 seasons. I really want him to accept that immediately. So we're going to be left with give or take $7 million. Well, let's just find some really cheap players for the bottom 6. And you know what? Free agency might not be the best place to find those guys. Let's go make some trades. Now we need some good cheap players for our bottom 6. And Brett Howden, you are one of the best players in the game. An 86 overall. That is actually a crazy comment to make, saying Brett Howden is one of the best players. But that's the case in this new universe. And we need a guy like Brett Howden on the team. So you just won a Stanley Cup with the Islanders. You know how to beat the St. Louis Blues. Now it's time for you to join the St. Louis Blues and help us win a Stanley Cup. A 7th round pick's not going to be enough, so I'll throw in a 6th rounder as well. We're also trading that medium-league potential goaltender that we just drafted, but this deal is going to help us a lot. So I'm looking to make one more splash before we head into next season, and that's going to be a 1st round pick sent over to the Rangers for Michael Matheson at 50% retained. I don't care how many draft picks I have to trade away here. I will trade them all. I will literally give up every draft pick for the next 8 years just to get this deal done. They're saying no to this even though we've offered more than enough. Here's a 2nd round pick as well. We're not going to be stopping at the trade deadline to make any more deals. I'm throwing 2 1st rounders in this deal. We are getting stupid for the final trade. I have given up way too much here, but apparently the Rangers don't think that. They think I gave up a fair amount. That makes no sense. Once Joel Eriksson Ek joins the team, we're going to be ready to win a Stanley Cup or lose in Game 7, one of the two. Alright, so we have one last chance to win a Stanley Cup. Pavel Dorofeyev, you're moving back up to the 1st line. Lekner Mack, you're going to play 2nd line minutes because you've dropped to an 84. Zach Hyman, I don't care what your overall is, you're going to find a way to see success on this team. Maybe Eriksson Ek should be moved down to the 3rd line, considering Morgan Geeky's a higher overall, and that's what we're going to do. This team has to win. I need this team to finally win a Stanley Cup. No more choking in Game 7. No more letting me down. Let's just win when it matters. Also, Merzlikins is going to be the backup this season. I don't really care who our backup is. Dustin Wolf is playing 70 plus games this season, but those regular season games mean absolutely nothing if we lose in Game 7 again. Emphasizing the word again. And when I mean again, I mean for the 3rd time. Do not lose in Game 7 of the Cup Final for a 3rd time. So here we go. It's time for our final postseason run. I don't care about our record. I don't care about our offense. I don't care about our defense. I don't care about the regular season scoring where we didn't see a single player average a point a game. In this final season, though, we will look at the league leaders. Truthfully, I should have looked at this every year, but I completely forgot half the time. Okay, this is very interesting right off the bat. Shane Wright's going to lead the league with 97 points, and then Brandon Montour, of all players, is going to be 2nd, followed by Matthew Knies, Connor McMichael, Kulik, Jonathan Marchessault, Leo Carlson. Those are all of our point-a-game players. Everyone after this is below a point a game. Nah, these are some names I didn't expect to see. Cole Sillinger is an 86 overall. Nah, the league definitely has some new superstars now. I wasn't expecting to see a handful of these names like Jonathan Drouin, one of our top scorers. Who would have thought? Like, Brandon Montour was 2nd in the league in scoring. No, that's definitely interesting. Dustin Wolf, 42 wins this season, 8 shutouts, a 909, a 271. Please win me a cup. Please win me a Stanley Cup. I can't deal with any more disappointment. We're taking on Minnesota in the 1st round. Don't lose. Like, I am praying this team doesn't let me down. We can't lose again. We cannot lose in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final again. With that being said, that doesn't mean we can lose in the 1st, 2nd, or conference finals. We have to make it back to the Stanley Cup Final and actually win this time. We're getting past the Minnesota Wild in a sweep. Things are looking pretty good for us, but that can change really fast. So we're moving on to the 2nd round. We have the Chicago Blackhawks up next. I don't plan on losing anytime soon, so how about we take down the Blackhawks and move on to the conference finals? 5 straight wins, make that 6 straight wins. We're finally going to be losing a game, and now we're losing back-to-back games. It better not be 3 straight losses. I don't think we can afford that. Luckily, we don't have to worry about it. 1 more win's going to send us to the conference finals, and that's where we're headed. So we're 8-2 in the postseason. We've been looking pretty strong so far. We won 6 straight games. How about we win another 6 straight? We sweep the San Jose Sharks and move on to the Stanley Cup final. Do not get swept here. All right, we have a huge hill to climb. We have to win 3 games in a row, and it's all going to start in game number 5. We need a game 5 victory right here. St. Louis, I need you to step up when it matters most. When the lights are the brightest, I need you to find a way to win. I don't know how Tyler Toffoli is still in the league. We are 5 years down the line. But you know what? It seems like he's picking up the big goals in the big games. But now it's time for St. Louis to step up when it matters most. Zach Hyman, he's picking up a critical goal. A tie game entering overtime. And who's going to score the OT winner? Well, of course, it's going to be Lecker-Mackey. We're still alive and we're off to game 6. Now, you know what? I know exactly what's going to happen here. I have seen this before. We're going to make the 3-1 series comeback. I can guarantee it. And then you know what's going to happen? We're either going to get swept in the Stanley Cup final, or we're going to blow a 3-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup final. We're off to game 7. I have seen this before. I know how this works. I know how this game works. We're going to win in game 7 and then get blown out in the Stanley Cup final, or we're going to blow a 3-0 series lead again. Like, it's actually a little bit comical. And you know what? This is how confident I am with the team. We're simulating the entire game. That's how much confidence I have in us. We're winning 4-2. I predicted this. I knew this would happen. Now watch us lose in the Stanley Cup final. So here we go. We're moving on. We made a 3-1 series comeback. The New Jersey Devils are the only team that stands in front of us. Over the past 5 years, we have made it to 3 Stanley Cup finals. We have lost 2 of them in game 7. And we are about to find out what is going to happen in that final Stanley Cup final. Well, we might sweep the New Jersey Devils. Nope, never mind. I expected this to happen. Why am I talking about us sweeping the New Jersey Devils? We know that's not going to happen. No, we know this team is going to blow a 3-0 series lead. We're going to drop game number 5, or maybe we aren't. Maybe this team is actually going to win a Stanley Cup when it matters by scoring 7 goals in game number 5. Okay, that is something I was not expecting. Like, it's kind of crazy. We were up 3-1 in the series, and I still thought we were going to lose. I was expecting that we were going to lose after being up 3-0 in the series. Once we dropped game number 4, I thought it was wraps for us. I thought this team was going to lose 4 straight games again, and we were going to blow another 3-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup final. Apparently not. Apparently, this team figured out how to perform when it mattered most. And Dustin Wolf, you finally get your Stanley Cup. 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 918 and a 252. You won 15 games twice in the postseason, but ended up losing game number 16. You can never win that 16th game in the postseason until now. The St. Louis Blues are finally Stanley Cup champions. We removed the top 100 players from the NHL, and Brandon Montour became the greatest defenseman in the league, and Shane Wright became the top player. Yeah, so safe to say the league would definitely change if the top 100 players retired tomorrow.